Welcome to the State of Modern, episode number 10, with Lucas and
Andrew.
and Charmander. Here we go through year by year the modern Magic the Gathering format, and we talk about the tournaments, the bannings, the unbannings, the cards that get put into the format. This year's a big one.
Oh, yeah.
With Modern Horizons.
Oh, yeah.
The Doom of Old Valyria, as some may call it.
The New Age.
But, so usually we start off with talking about recent events, things that are going on. We got a lot to talk about today. And then we go in month by month, date by date, and just tear the year apart and talk about how it affected the modern format. And at the end, we do some fun little awards for the year and kind of rank it the health of the format. That's really what we're going for, is to research and figure out maybe the best times of modern, what we like the best, and what's maybe not our favorite. So, what do you got for fresh news, Andrew?
Well, I mean, let's start with the biggest, which was on Monday. We received a pretty huge ban announcement for Modern.
Yeah.
And what were your predictions again?
I believe it was the One Ring and Grief.
Yeah.
And I was completely wrong.
Yeah. I think I said pretty much just Fury. I think Fury was the only thing I had in mind. Like Fury, maybe Fury and Grief together, but Fury specifically. Yeah. And it was Fury, and I didn't expect this one up the beanstalk. So.
Me neither. Real quick, I'm actually more excited about the Pioneer unbannings with Karn the Great Creator going bye-bye.
And Smuggler's Copter getting unbanned, right?
Yeah, that I've sent people online on like YouTube are like, oh my god, it's everywhere, but yeah. I mean, it's just got unbanned.
Right. It's just the same thing with Stoneforge Mystic. What else got banned? There's one other card, I think.
Yes. Geological Appraiser. So it was a very degenerate ability or deck using pretty much Cascade, the Discover ability.
Yeah.
So it's a 4-mana dude. You're cascading into so usually Cascade is when it's a cast trigger. Most of these are when enters the battlefield trigger. So you can get clones that clone the Discover dude, and you make a huge board state based off of that. But then you can also chain up by hitting Eldritch Evolution, and then you get one that does 5 mana. It discovers for 5 mana, and then you hit cards that clone it or copy it, and then you get those triggers off the copies as well.
Isn't it like a dinosaur?
Yeah.
Like it just has like an ETB Discover trigger, basically, right?
Yeah, and then you're playing Torrential Gearhulk. It's pretty crazy. It's not as straightforward as you'd think. It's not just like, oh, you get 4 Geological Appraisers and like 4 of the dinosaur, and then you wait a turn and attack. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah, but it sounds like it was degenerate enough that it needed gone from that format too. So.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying the trigger got pulled on that a little too early. I don't know. I'm just like, they're saying like, oh, if you have a removal spell, then you're pretty much fine. Well, that's the same state you were in with Splitter Twin too. Yeah. It's like, okay, they're saying they're not going to ban this card for play pattern reasons, and this is very similar play pattern reasons, like the 4 slot and XYZ. You can fully go off on turn like 3 with that deck too.
Oh yeah, holy shit! Wow, I didn't realize it was which is pretty unhealthy for a Pioneer as a format, right? Because it's a little bit slower than Modern is, or supposed to be. Kind of that balance in between. I don't know. I don't know where they put the power level of formats nowadays too. So
definitely going to be lower.
Yeah.
So back to Modern. Theory up the beanstalk. Up the people. a lot of people on YouTube and online are like, do they have like a contract that says they can't ban the Lord of the Rings cards? Because it just doesn't make sense. Like you're trying to make a format that isn't is focused on killing like X ones, and
Mhm.
then you have these degenerate draw engines, but you only hit half of them. And then people are also going, all right, you take these two toys away from us, but the whole power level of the format doesn't really change. Scam is still a viable deck with like Solitude instead of Fury,
Mhm.
and then the Omnath lists are just gonna go to the pre One Ring list. And since Scam has gotten a notch lower, maybe now that Omnath list is gonna balance out with it, and then you're gonna have these two decks that are predicated on the evoke creatures
Mhm.
still battling it out, and nobody likes the play pattern of grief. And they talked about play pattern, they talked about fun,
Mhm.
and that yet they did not hit that card.
Mhm.
They left that practically the deck in the format.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, like Fury seemed it felt like a little bit of a catch-all to a lot of the format too,
Mm-hmm.
where there's a lot of decks that are just playing it for like its value as a 3/3 double striker, too. Um, but I don't know. Um, I almost wonder if this will give a little bit more opportunity for a different deck to step forward as most dangerous. Like maybe this will pull Scam back to like, okay, it's an established format deck now, but it's not you know ripping for auto wins or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to tell. I do kind of want to see how the format shakes out post ban, especially like getting the Beanstalk and the Fury in one go. I think does nerf the Omnath decks quite a bit, at least back into like kind of a controlish shell
True.
where they're running a little bit slower because like that up the Beanstalk value of just being able to chain those draws is it's just free. It provides so much card advantage to that deck
Yeah.
even when they don't result. Like they can free cast their Furies and Solitudes all day because they know that they're just going to get them right back from the
The Beanstalk.
Beanstalk draws. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the One Ring kind of is still a draw engine that
Mm.
they have access to make up for it to some extent. Is it as good? No.
And we looked at or I was thinking about the arena edits for the One Ring 2 now, where I'm like, wow, if they would have made it that in the fucking first place, maybe we'd have a pretty decent time right now.
Sorry, I want to bring up last week our audio wasn't that good.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back and listen to it, so if you're watching and our audio's trash, please shout it out so
Yeah,
we
say
can
something so we can fix it.
quit streaming forever. Give up.
Be done. Stop at 2019 Modern Horizons with Death Modern. That's it. And the end.
Yeah.
Yep.
Rip GG.
um,
I text Tony right now quick, but
do you have any interesting thoughts on the changes that this could bring with Fury being on in regards to like more creature heavy decks showing up in the format again?
I just don't see it. I don't think the format's gonna change.
Yeah.
The hammer time will get played more,
Mm-hmm.
sure. Um, I don't know. It just everybody kind of went, okay, that yeah, you took out some of the cards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
and everybody's sitting going, there's at least three more cards
Yeah.
we want.
Yeah.
I think I don't know, at least two, Grief and the One Ring, to really bring it back to something recognizable.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Where it's like there's a lot of these power player cards that are just so strong that unless you're playing them, you're at a disadvantage in your games.
And I correct me if I'm wrong here. They did state that they didn't really care too much on how long the ban list was or how short the ban list was. Didn't they say something like that in that not in that this announcement, but their podcast?
I don't recall. I don't recall them mentioning anything about the length of the cards or however many cards they banned. I know they were talking about like they were interested in unbanning cards, which I was super. I was like, hey, I want to hear them more about that. So
They did. So I think they at least said they're not interested in making the ban list as short as possible. That's not their goal when they unban cards. It's like, okay, we can. This is safe to unban, and it might be fun again.
hmm
So I might have overstated, but yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think they could definitely look like we've talked about it before with the options that they have for the ban list. I
Mhm.
think there's a lot of cards that are just way like way too underpowered
So
that could come off.
I was looking at, or I didn't look at deck lists today. I was really busy at work, unfortunately, so I couldn't prepare for this as much as I wanted to. Uh, but I was looking at deck lists, trying to go like, oh, what am I gonna play at FNM this week? And it's just like nothing's changed. I don't really, I don't even care. I don't really want to play. And then I found out Canadian Highlander is gonna be available for FNM, and I'm like in Legacy this week.
Yeah.
So I got to decide between those two.
Yeah, now you gotta choose between two awesome formats
Yeah,
you actually want to play.
and I'm just kind of, we've got unbannings in modern, or we have bannings in modern. We have a shakeup in modern, and I still don't. It's not a priority. I don't care to. It's not like I'm itching to go play.
Yeah, I do think that like when I thought about it when the bands came out on Monday, I was like, it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, let's see what happens and maybe I'll play
Mm-hmm.
because I agree. I almost agree with that where it was like I'm in the mentality of there's so much broken weird shit going on in modern right now that it just almost isn't fun to play into. That
Mm-hmm.
just not worth my time to play the format.
I keep going back to what I said a week or two ago with the unban everything, and then bring it back to those pioneer days where they get to critique the format every month or so,
Mm-hmm.
and they really get that involvement. It just seems exciting. I ran it past. I talked about it in front of non-Magic players, and they're like, "Yeah, that sounds awesome." I don't even really know like
Yeah,
what that means, but it just sounds like you get to play with all the toys, and then yeah, I mean things are gonna get banned. You go into the format with that expectation.
mm-hmm. I think that'd be interesting. Like I almost think that I wonder if formats need upkeep in the way of like I could imagine moderns like hit, you know, a certain age point and we say, okay, modern is now a completely different format at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back to square zero, break down our ban list and rebuild it from the beginning again. Just run events until we figure out, okay, well, this is just start pulling shit one at a time, whatever we think is the, you know, Hogak, you know, what's the Burning Shoal, you know, just all these ones, just nail the ones that they're like, okay, these are critical. We need to get these out of the format.
I would
And
I would do zero ban list. Well,
yeah,
at
that's
first,
what I'm saying.
but yeah,
Yeah. Like you have that zero ban list at first, and then run a couple tournaments, and then just
Mhm.
start building it back up from there.
Yeah.
Because like even I imagine, you know, they kind of talked about this in their podcast video where they're talking about Legacy still has experimentation to do in the format, which I would agree. I think that like there is potential still in that format, probably.
I'm sure there's
Yeah,
something hiding.
yeah.
But they also talk about how Legacy is more ran by the player base
Mm-hmm.
and what they want for the format. Like they bring up Force of Will and Brainstorm. Like some of these things would not exist in the format otherwise. And I like that's fine. Like cool, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also kind of opening the gate of like, oh, we don't want to dictate the banned and restricted uh the ban list for this anymore. And then it's like, okay, you don't want to do it with that.
Yeah,
So modern's the next one out too.
yeah.
Like,
Well, I almost think like I'd be fine if Wizards wanted to hand off the ban list to a community group that
mm-hmm.
would run it because you know people who have vested interest in playing that format want to probably have some sort of expressed interest in, shaping the format. So, which you can see that with like Canlander, the guys that run that have done that for probably years. That running the ban list,
I'm curious how many people are involved in running that.
Well, I just remember watching the most recent video where they did changes in the point values, and they were like very in depth about like, okay, this is what's going on in the format. This is why we think this card should get or is going down or up and down points. These are the decks that could probably constrain against it, and they like analyze the metagame and actually kind of figure out, okay, how can we improve the health of this? Well, optimize fund to play ratio.
I'm laughing because Wizards of the Coast does less communication, I think less research on this, and they have more data.
Yeah.
They have just raw more games played in like Modern and all the other formats.
Oh yeah.
It's easier for them to suss out that data.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of it, they have how many extremely good game designers and game developers and the whole docket of involvement in a game. They have some of the best, if not the best, right there in house, and yet these guys from doing the Canadian Highlander seem to be putting on a better show here.
Yeah.
They
just putting out better quality content.
I wonder if that lit a fire under Watsy's ass, and that's why they're gonna start doing it, be more transparent and more communicative with it.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious what the trigger poll was on this new podcast format that they're doing with the banning stuff.
Well, they haven't done another one yet,
True.
so
True.
we don't know if it's actually gonna happen.
We'll see how it resolves after this one, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Got any more for? Well, got any? Did you look at deck lists today?
No, I did not.
I'm actually.
No.
Hold on.
I remember a lot of this year though.
2019.
Mm-hmm. I think this is where I probably played the most Modern, actually.
I'm pulling up Modern preliminary
from December 6, 2023. It looks like.
Yeah, this is like this week. This is yesterday.
So
first deck here, Tron. Makes sense. I know a few people. I work with a guy who's like, "Oh, Tron's back.
Yeah.
It's even better now.
Yeah,
it's got less competition." Murktide definitely. Oh no, this isn't even Murktide. This is Cascade.
Yeah,
playing the new
Deshauna's Tidebender.
That's a big card. I've been seeing that a lot lately.
It's like $16, and I'm just like I'm not gonna get it until it goes down. I don't know. Yeah. It's really good. I mean, it's a 3/2 with flash, and it counters something basically. Like it can counter an evoke ability. Like it's really good. It's a stifle on a body.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised at how much it's getting played. That I'd love to play the card.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, like I think it's gonna go down. I think it will wane in how much it gets played.
Yeah,
it seems like one of those new set kind of cards, almost like
Agatha's
Soul Cauldron. But
I
that's
actually
got a lot more play to it.
I think that's going to be a format staple.
Mm-hmm.
I think it will be. That's like the new. That feels like the utility tool for creature combo decks. Strong creature combo decks. Like, wow. When I was reading that card, I can understand why it's like $40.
Yeah, I thought that was going to go down. I was very wrong on that one. The Tidebender, I don't know. Like, as long as the one ring exists, people are going to want to play something similar to that.
Yeah.
It's almost like our best stifle effect. Here's a preliminary from the 5th. Okay, some decks that people were expecting to do pretty well. Yawgmoth was like the number one. Tron. People were poo-pooing the decks that hadn't been the decks that got hit with the ban. I don't know. I'm kind of like, just give it a little bit of time here. Burn is doing good.
Yep. Makes sense.
There's a Murktide. I built Murktide for F&M this week. In Modern.
Yeah.
Just in case. I didn't know about the Canadian Highlander thing at that point.
Another one of these Murktide with Tishana's Tidebender decks.
Mm-hmm.
Playing Flames of Anor for the combo with that, which is cool. So the
Okay.
ooh. So this is our first instance of like seeing what happens post ban.
With a
This
3-1
is
record.
this is a reanimator deck actually.
Yeah, Goryo's Vengeance.
Yeah.
So this is going back to some of the original builds of the Grief combo.
Yeah, but bringing in the package of the Gorios plus Atraxa, so you can go Gorios Atraxa, Flicker Atraxa with Ephemerate, draw like
Draw your deck.
draw half your deck.
Yeah.
I like this deck list. This is a deck I would play honestly.
Mm-hmm.
If this deck list sticks around, I will probably build this. I don't have the Gorios Vengeance.
In that deck.
I know. 4 Grief, 4
Well, you can
Solitude,
borrow
4
them
Atraxa.
from me because I have this, and I don't have the Palantir of
Orenthal.
Orenthal. Those are another card that's like $10+ dollars that I just like.
Yeah, it provides like
Please
this
go down.
weird good advantage on the end step. It's like
Mhm.
either draw a card or like deal some damage or something. I don't remember exactly what it does.
I saw a Legacy tournament recently, and Show and Tell did really well, and I was like, "Oh, how many is it playing?" It wasn't playing any. I thought it was like I thought that card was a big boon for Show and Tell and Legacy.
Really?
Yeah, I thought. No. Look at me, I'm a dum dum.
Mono black. That makes sense.
That would show up a lot in leagues up until this point.
Mm-hmm.
You got Hardened Scales was another deck people had high hopes for.
Yep, that's a pretty big one. Another Crashing Footballs
Crashing
list.
Footballs, how could it not?
Yeah.
It kind of got hit. Like some of the lists played Fury.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it might have all played it.
Yeah, the Salty or Fury. I know there was a combo of those being played. Eldrazi Close or Eldrazi Tron.
Yeah, Eldrazi Tron.
Yeah. Prime time makes sense. More Hardened Scales. More prime time.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's a different format. My estimation of or my theory on it's still gonna exist. Just
They're playing the Trumpeting Carnosaur.
hold the card.
Huh.
Yeah. That's a big top end. Yeah. Still kind of bored. We'll give it some more time to really see how it plays out.
Yeah, we'll have to see a couple weeks here.
Where are we at here? Okay.
So
All
we're
right.
jumping right into the year. 2019. I be a year out of high school at this point.
10 years out of high school. Oh my god. So fucking old.
Yeah, you are.
Shut the fuck up.
All right, January 6th, Grand Prix Oakland. This is like a month before Ravnica Allegiance drops.
Fuck
Ooh,
yeah, this is like I'd like to see, man.
yeah. So
KCI out the ass.
and Arclight Phoenix and KCI are dominating the format by this point. I kind of remember about this time.
Still playing the crackling Drake.
Yep.
All day, every day.
Playing 2 Pyromancer's Ascension too.
Shit, our audio's janked up right now.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Huh. I'm kind of wondering, like, there's an OBS update. I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
Oh.
Do you want to stop, update OBS, and restart?
We could. For if it's not intelligible right now, there's no point in. Let me see. Let me see if I can hear what it sounds like. Sounds fine to me. I'm just listening to it through YouTube.
Oh, it just went out. Yeah, it is doing it. Huh.
Oh, it's like going out and coming back
Yeah,
in.
it's fading in and out. And at first, Tony and I talked about it. We thought it was just like the microphone being like down there and us turning our heads, and it wasn't that.
Do you think it's the mic itself potentially?
No, it didn't do it on Monday. I don't think. Well, we're gonna shut it down quick. Try and fix it, and then we'll be back one way or another in a few minutes here.
Mm.
All right.